Okay, hi 11. I'm looking forward to talking to you about A-level French today, and if you are interested in the course, not only will we obviously carry on mentioning it and talking about it to you over the next few months as you think about your decisions that lie ahead, but also obviously if you want to come and talk to me at any point in private, then please do so. So I'm going to quickly go through the some key information, and hopefully it will become very clear what it's all about studying A-level French. So quickly, what I hope we've already started to pass on to you, but I think studying a language is something that can give you an exceptional sense of enjoyment. We also would value that sense of achievement of mastering something and mastering a skill that many of your peers won't have, that will help you stand out in employment, which we'll talk about in a moment. We'll mention this idea of these facilitating subjects. Now, languages is not the only one of the courses that we offer, but the Russell Group universities are those universities who have got perhaps the most prestigious intake and profile, and they recognise that a language A-level is of a high standard, and that it is a sort of subject that will help you to demonstrate that you are of an extremely high academic ability when applying for certain courses. That is because it's seen as a tough A-level, there's no doubt about that, but it's tough insofar as comparable with the sciences and the humanities subjects that are also facilitating. So a little bit about that. We do believe, even in the world that has changed so much since Brexit, that having another language will add an extra tier of employability and make you far more attractive to employers in your future lives. That in itself might lead to financial security, as it is a known fact discussed by the Council of British Industry that people who have language skills on average earn 10 to 15% more than people who don't. It's not true for teachers, but in some walks of life and some areas of business, that is seen to be a real advantage for linguists. That sense of achievement often comes from the fact that it is intellectually challenging. The content and the topic areas are also stimulating, but being able to manipulate and master the language are also things that will help provide that stimulation and challenge that so many of you will seek. Okay, so those Russell Group universities there are just pointing out that those are the subjects that are seen as facilitating subjects because of their academic profile. Okay. Although this isn't about combining subjects for A-level, which obviously there is so many choices and options for you to make, but we have always found that for those people who want to study a language, doing so alongside whatever other area of interest they might have would be beneficial. So when you come to the age of 18 and are looking at courses that different universities offer, quite often a language can sit alongside so many other disciplines, and it might be that course then gives you an international flavour. And for example, you did an engineering degree with a language, that might mean that you would seek a work experience placement in another country, or that you might do some research with international universities. There are so many combinations of option available to you with the universities when you start looking at them, and we really believe that adding a language to any of those areas is valuable. It doesn't even have to be French. There is many scope for universities who will allow you to take up a language from scratch. One of our previous year 13 students went to Manchester Met and continued with French but majored in Japanese because it was something that she wanted to do. Our most recent A-level cohort, one of the students has gone to Newcastle to study law, and having French alongside law as an A-level was certainly an attractive part of her application. given that it has such close links with the laws of the old statute books and things like that, which were written in French. So as I'm sure you see there, I think we've certainly got people, undergraduates still at uni, who are studying politics with the language, who have gone on to combine business, which I think the current year 13 students are looking at, going off to do international business and looking at those options. So with regards to A-levels, there is, I know you are limited in using your choices wisely. You might want to specialise, but we would argue, as is the case with your European counterparts, that they would continue to study a language alongside other things to give them the best possible horizons in the future. We'll just have a look now at the those employability skills. Just have to slip back past that slide that I'll do in what show you in the classroom. The number of different career options and career opportunities that are open to candidates with languages are pretty endless list. But there are some of the lesser thought about ones. Quite often people think if you don't teach and you're not going to be an interpreter or a translator, then or go into the diplomatic service in the foreign office, for example, that you would struggle to be employable. But that is clearly not the case. Some of the careers that have been emerging over the last 5 or 10 years and that relate to social media, looking at logistics and gaming and using analysis of data and stuff, they are now recognising the impact of having language skills in those areas. And you see, if you just scour the job pages yourselves, you will see and do searches with languages. You'll see that there are a number of significant opportunities in all sorts of areas where a language would be beneficial and give you that edge at the interview. Our current year 13 student, for example, even got a part-time job on the basis that he was able to offer language skills as something that he could offer as part of his customer service role. So we know that is good. So the qualification itself, we follow the AQA specification for A-level, and the assessment package is that there are 3 papers. The first one we refer to as the mixed skills paper. So it's a selection of listening, reading and writing tasks. There's not a long piece of writing, but there's a translation into French and from French. And the writing is actually a 90-word summary, so similar to the sort of length of piece of writing that you'll be doing at GCSE. The passages will cover a range of topics, which I'll refer to in a moment, but they tend to be recordings, the listenings of between a minute and a minute and a half, with the same types of exercises you've already been doing, true, false, not in the text, advantages and disadvantages, that sort of thing. 2 is the written paper, and there are 2 questions on it. You do have a choice for each of the 2 questions, and we will study usually a film and a book over the course of the 2 years, and there is a set list for that, which I'll come on to, and you write 2 essays of about 350 words. They're not lengthy things, they're just very concise, critical analysis of the works that we study. And there'll be an element of choice about that in a moment, I'll tell you. And then the third paper, where 30% of your exam would be a speaking test. Now 21 to 23 minutes seems like an awfully long time, but you have 5 minutes preparation within that, and you have a stimulus card, which is a bit like our photo cards would have been had we been doing the speaking task, but obviously the topic area is linked to those year 12 topics and year 13 topics that you're going to study. There'll be some questions on it for you to prepare, 3 or 4 questions, and then there'll be a little bit, not a long time, but a little bit of open discussion about that topic or theme for the remainder of that 5 minutes. The remainder of the speaking test, the 11 to 13 minutes, is where you will discuss with your examiner, which may be me, or you would have a discussion about an individual research project. And this being worth, 30% of your A-level, it gives you a real opportunity to study and do some deep research on an area of personal interest to you. It does have to be linked to a target language country. So if you wanted to do something that was cultural or to do with music, sport, fashion, something that was of interest to you, you would need to link it to that subject as it is represented in a French-speaking country, and you would need to make sure that your research was looking to answer a particular investigative question. It's not just a narrative, description of things you've found out. It's about you trying to analyse and evaluate the research that you do. But it's a conversation, a 10 to 12 minute conversation usually, where the examiner will ask you about your research, why you're interested in it, what you found, what conclusions you can draw, and they're normally quite interesting conversations, because the examiner's finding out a lot about the topic from the candidate, and it sounds like a natural flow of conversation. So those are the 3 parts of the exam. So that makes up the 100% of the A-level, taken at the end of the second, as you know, for all your subjects. And the content, I'm not going to go through translating all of these on the video, but I'll pause and do this in the lessons when we look at these more closely. But there are 6 topics that are covered in Year 12, and they are the family. The sub-bullet points there are the bits I won't bother going into in too much detail, but you can see the flavour of what sort of things we look at. La cybersociété, and again, we're not just looking at, as for GCSE, where we talk about how we use technology, but we're looking at the impact of these things on society. So how it improves our daily lives, but what dangers are encountered. Voluntary work and volunteering and working for organisations that are helping solve world issues. That is the 3rd one. And then we have the other 3 topics that focus on the artistic culture of the French-speaking world. Keep on saying that, because it's not just France. Obviously, it can be any French-speaking community around the world. The culture, the heritage of the country and countries, and what that offers its residents and to the wider world with regards to its tourism. How that heritage is embedded within the culture of the country and the language. We look at music and listen to the lots of contemporary francophone music, and learn to appreciate and evaluate it. And then cinema is studied as a separate topic, which is the development of cinema and France's involvement in the development of cinema, but also at this point we would start to look at a film to do a quick critical evaluation of it. 13 topics, we look at some more, if you like, weighty topics with more of a impact on society. So we're looking at ethnic origin and diversity within society. We look at people who are on the fringes of society, the excluded, and look at the reasons why they are struggling to cope in society and what we can do to help them. We look at law and order and criminals and how they are treated in France and French-speaking countries. And then we also look at the political side of society, where we look at the young people and their engagement in the political processes. We look at demonstrations and strikes, which I think you can't really get a full appreciation of French society unless you understand the power of the strike and the protest movement. And politics and immigration is another area of content that we draw on for the listening and reading texts and tasks that you would do. The literary works, so the films and the books, it is a set list which is subject to change, but it's been consistent for the 2 years that the specification is run. I'm not going to go into them now. We tend to, what we do is we present the students in year 12 with a summary, little synopsis of the books and films, and we might watch some clips from them, and generally together we will then make a decision about which book and film that you want to study. couple of years ago, the students chose to study Joseph Joffre's Sac de Bile and Au revoir les enfants, a film by Louis Malle. And the reason being for that is that they were all studying history and politics in French, and they had a real interest in the occupation of France during World War II, and they also were very knowledgeable about the context, so they used a book and a film that reflected that, and therefore that helped them write some good, really good critical essays. Currently in year 13, we're doing the book is Noé et moi, which is Delphine de Vigan, which is a real contemporary novel about a friendship between a homeless girl and a Parisian youngster. And the film we're doing is La Haine, which is means hatred, and is a rather hard-hitting fly on the wall type film about 3 young men from different ethnic origins and the tensions that they face in their everyday life, and brings in police brutality, and it's quite a hard, harsh film, but plenty to think about. So we would like to say that the content and the specification, I do love the specifications and to teach and to learn. We do offer you, obviously it's a small department, we do offer you that sense of personalised support, where you will be nurtured and looked after. We get a lot of input from our trainee teachers and from Durham University. Obviously visitors into schools are limited at the moment, but in the future we will seek opportunities for you to have contact with native speakers and other students of languages. We normally will do pair work, conversation work, classes to make sure that you keep on talking in French as much as possible, although I would say that about 60 to 70% in year 12 and even more in year 13 of the lessons are conducted in French, with support of course. We're not visiting anywhere at the moment, but when we do, there are lots of opportunities out there for travel abroad, for cinema clubs, etc. Yes, we're very experienced, very old, been teaching this for a long time, been teaching A-level for a long time, and obviously that experience and expertise is something that we can help you to guide you through the course and make sure that you're successful in it. I examined for the exam board and have marked A-level in the previous spec and in the start of this one, and that gives you a lot of valuable insight as to what they're looking for. And obviously the teachers in the department who teach A-level French, myself and Miss Langford, share that depending on timetables obviously, and you're welcome to obviously contact us at any point to discuss it further. So I'm going to leave it there for now, as I say, and look forward to hearing any questions you might have now in the lessons or later at home. So thanks for listening. Bye.